So today I want to show you my solid hedge picnic table. And I want you all to see how pretty it is. And I'm going to show you, I got another one out here. That it was a log that I sawed. I'm going to show you that too. And my old buddy Jeff gave me another frame, and I'm going to show you that frame, and we're going to make another picnic table. I don't need another one, but they're so pretty I can't do without making them. So I'll let you have a good look at this. You can see that hedge has the craziest grain. Now this one sat outside for a year and it got really discolored. And what I did was I took a pressure washer to it and I pressure washed it. And then I put a belt sander on it, sanded it with a belt sander. And then I took and I put an orbitable sander on top of that. And I sanded it all down real good. And I put 2 coats, this is the second coat, I put 2 coats of epoxy, clear tabletop epoxy on it. It's all live edge. When I built this table it was green. And you can see right down here on the end where it warped just a little bit, but you know, I think that gives the table pretty good character. This end here did exactly the same thing. It warped just a little bit. It's a full 2 inches thick. I built a steel frame and put it on a steel frame with an umbrella stand in the middle down there. But man, is it a nice table. So if you look right here, you'll see this frame that my buddy Jeff gave me. And I cut the old boards off the top of it. And it's galvanized steel. It's going to make a nice heavy duty table when I get it done. So anyhow, I want to show you this. This is a hedge log. It fell over in the woods down here. And you can see how much character it's got to it. It's just crazy. And the grain is crazy. But you see that it's been sitting here for a year curing. Had it covered up with a real heavy piece of rubber. All the bark's still on it. But that was a whole tree. And I put stickers in it. And then I put tie straps around it to help keep it from warping, and then I weighted it down with a great big half of a log so it didn't warp. I put boards under each end, a pallet in the middle, and tied it all down. It's been sitting here for about a year. So I'm going to get ready to put this thing together, but I just thought you'd kind of want to see some of this. It's hard to see the grain with this camera, I'm sure, but if you look at it, you'll see that it's absolutely crazy looking. But hey, it'll make a beautiful table someday. So when we get ready to start building this project, which is going to be today, we'll get a couple little slideshows along the way so you can see what it's going to look like. So this is where we're at now. We got all of our boards put on there. We put an armrest on this one on each side. Kind of put a stiffener in the middle of it, tied the seats and the armrest and the tabletop all together. So it's going to be pretty substantial. What we're doing now is we got a hatchet. We're going down through here and we're taking all of this scaly bark and we're removing all this bark all the way around until we get it all off, all this little loose bark. It takes quite a bit to work at it and get all that stuff off of there, and then round the edges on the bottom too so that you don't have a sharp edge. Get all that done before you sand it. But you can see how much character this table's got, and it's going to have quite a bit of character. I sawed the centers, take the big chunks out so that you can get them to lay out there pretty nice. Same with the seats. If you find a spot that's sticking out where your legs needed to be cleaned up, you know, where you can have enough room to get your legs under there. Cut these armrests to kind of fit a little bit, just whatever it is, just try to make them match. It's a heavy son of a gun, I'll tell you that, but it'll be here when I'm long gone, dead and gone. So we get it all sanded down, get all the rest of the bark peeled off of it, get some of these corners cleaned up a little bit, and then we'll let you take a look at what it looks like after we get all that done. Once I took that axe and I axed off all that extra bark, then I came back with a belt sander and I sanded all them edges to just kind of roll them over a little bit and just rough sand the whole entire project from top to bottom. Once I got done with that, I took an orbitable sander and I went back over all these little edges, and I put the orbitable sander down here and I rounded off all of these edges so there wouldn't be any sharp edges. Now what I've got to do is, you can see where there's still a little excess bark left on here, so I'll have to get a knife and sit in here and work at this and try to get all this old bark off of this, all these sides. So you want that clean so that when you go to put epoxy on it, that it's not porous and that old bark is just going to fall off of there anyhow. When you get all done, you should have a real nice smooth looking edge, kind of like what this is. I still got some more sanding to do here. This has got a lot of sanding to do. This right in here looks pretty nice, but there's still quite a bit of sanding. Even on these armrests, you can see where I've been sanding on these armrests, and they're looking good, but they still need some more sanding. But if you look at the character that is in this table, and you look at the grain, look at the grain in that seat right there. Isn't that crazy? This is kind of what you're looking for. So you get this edge all done, and then once it's sanded smooth, it really makes a nice job when you get it all done. You can see though, I still got quite a bit of bark. I gotta painstakingly get a knife after all this now and get all this off of here. So you want it kind of like this, kind of like this. You just want to make sure you get all that grain off of there. But you can see, once you get the bark off, how crazy is that edge? I mean, isn't that pretty? You take a good look at it, and I can't imagine anybody not wanting one. Especially when you get the epoxy on it and that grain comes standing out at you. Oh my goodness, is that going to be pretty or what? So I guess the next step is we'll get the knife after it. We'll get all this scaly stuff off of here. We'll go back and we'll sand it again with an orbitable sander, and we'll get some more of these milling marks out of here. It's pretty nice if you get all these milling marks out of here. And then you can see the grain of the wood. But once we get all that done, then we'll take another little short video and keep showing you our progress as we go. I got 2 gallons of epoxy ordered, $167 worth. I ran out on my other table. I need to put one more coat on it. But once we get it done, we'll get it out here in the sunshine where you can really take a good look at it. So we sanded it all down real good, and we've put 3 coats of epoxy, clear tabletop epoxy on it, and we sanded it between each coat so that it gets nice and smooth and slick, because it'll get a little bit of dust and dirt in it, and you want to make sure you sand all that dust and dirt out of it in between each coat. And after you get 3 coats on there, you want to be really careful. I use a squeegee on the last coat, and it really seems to work better than a brush, and it works better than a roller. If you're going to use a roller, use a foam roller. A real dense foam roller works real well, But the nap rollers, you don't want to try to use one of them, because the next thing you know, you've got that little bitty strands of hair coming out of it, and it gets all over your work, and then you're going to be sanding it all back down again, and you will be very dissatisfied, especially when this stuff's $100 and something a gallon. So even though there's only three quarts on this whole table, it's still $100 and something a gallon. But it does make a beautiful job, and it'll be sitting out here forever and ever and ever. So when you see a hedge picnic table, which is what this is, Osage, orange, or hedge, whatever you want to call it, you know that when I'm dead and gone, it'll still be here.